Welcome to Brandix Reviews. We're here today to watch Paranormal Activity, the marked ones. We're in Bradford Cineworld. Any thoughts on this?
Better be better than 4?
Yeah, better be better than number 4 anyway, because it was pretty shocking. If this one's no good, I'm going to write the series up after this. We could go see Doom 3 if you wanted to.
I think I'll pass on that one.
Yeah, no, it hasn't got The Rock and Carl Urban in this one.
It went downhill after Doom.
Yeah, they couldn't get
Can't even spell it right anymore.
Yeah, they put H in it. Anyway, intro to follow.
Shabs, what can you do?
I'm the man that gave you the hula hoop. I'm the man that gave you the yo-yo. Well, I'm the man. I'm the
Right, we've just been to see the film now, and it's a damn sight better than number 4, I can say that.
Yeah, well, pretty much anything would be better than number 4.
Yeah, I think Grave Encounters was better than...
Well, the first one at least.
Yeah, well, yeah. But no, we're going to get into some spoilers later on anyway, but for now we're just going to kind of cover the actual, what we thought of it and that kind of thing. So, what was your initial thought anyway?
It's definitely an improvement over 4. It's not as scary as some of the earlier ones, but more tense, if you can get me on that. There's a lot more kind of effects, or at least noticeable effects. I think they had a bit bigger budget this time.
There's a lot of plus points, I would say, on this one as well. Like, it made
Better
sense.
actors.
Yeah, the actors were good. The characters were enjoyable to watch as well. Because in the 4th one, they were just really bland and boring. But in this one, it got back to the basic sort of storytelling with the characters. But it did a few other things that the 4th one didn't like that the others did, such as being sort of funny whilst scary.
It had a few jump scares, but they didn't take me out of the film or annoy me.
Yeah, and it paid off at the end, which we'll get to, like the actual spoilers later on. But
also, it kind of referred back to the previous films without undoing part of the continuity like 4 did.
yeah, because I'd heard this was kind of sold to me as like a spin-off in the same way like the Scorpion King is kind of a spin-off of the Mummy films. It's not a sequel, but this is Paranormal Activity 5.
This is Paranormal Activity 5, definitely.
Yeah. So, but any other thoughts on it before we get into spoilers?
Nothing really beyond inconsiderate chavs in the cinema talking and laughing all the way through it.
Yeah,
Which kind of just takes you out of the film. And
yeah,
when you
hopefully
paid like £8, it's like, damn, shut the hell up.
you can see it annoyed him. Hopefully they'll edit out the chavs talking through the film when we should have gone to see Doom 3. I told you.
Damn it! Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, I think, do I get into spoilers now?
Yeah.
And so basically it's new characters, but as I said, it does link in with the other films.
And it also does bring back some old characters.
Yeah, the girl from the second one, I mean, you can get that out watching the trailer anyway. The girl in the second one that survives.
Also, they don't just bring her back to kill her off or anything stupid like that.
Yeah, it's not like cliche sort of Nightmare on Elm Street film where...
It's more, they bring her back as like somebody who knows stuff about what's going on.
Yeah, and she was actually helpful for the plot. They didn't just do it for the sake of it. Her being in the film kind of needed to be, because most of the film anyway is about these characters, these kind of Hispanic characters, and there's some issue going on with their... they live on like a block.
An apartment block.
Yeah.
And the neighbour underneath, there's all these rumours going around that she's a witch and kind of stuff like that. And basically, it's kind of very Paranormal Activity. Weird stuff builds up and builds up until eventually you have people throwing people through walls and kind of floating and shit.
Yeah, they talk about like time portals in this, which comes apparent right at the end. I'll kind of explain that at the end of the video, but they talk about they find
they talk about a doorway that can lead to other unholy places in different times.
Yeah, which kind of didn't really make sense, but it made sense at the end of the film. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff happens. A lot of it you can kind of get out of the trailer anyway. That we're really kind of going into. There's a lot of funny bits. There's a bit where the main character in it, the one that gets marked, is kind of on his way to being full out demon possessed, and he's being protected. So you've probably seen in the trailers a bit where he gets attacked, and the guys that attack him get like thrown off.
Yeah, basically he just kind of shrugs them off and they go flying. And he does the thing where you kind of lean back and kind of supported by nothing.
Yeah,
It's kind
he
of
discovers in the film, this was something that was kind of funny, he discovers that he can kind of like lean on a chair and fall off and he'll just kind of stop in mid-air kind of thing, like some invisible force stops him. And his mate thinks, oh yeah, I'm going to try that myself. And
he falls flat on his back.
Yeah,
it's like, oh,
it's kind of anticipated, but it was funny as well, so there's a lot of good bits like that. But yeah, anyway, so this guy gets marked anyway, and with usual thing where he's been bitten, that's what happened in the other film, so again, it follows on in that sense. And the girl from the second one kind of turns up, they find her in it, and leading up to that, there's plenty of like jump scares. There's another kid that's been like marked and says that the only way to kind of get out of it is to kill yourself. And you jumped out of your seat at that bit
yeah,
as well.
well, he basically just come out of nowhere where there's just basically he jumps off a building and goes smashing into the car
on top
next
of
to the guy.
yeah, on top of a car roof.
It's not scary, it's just startling. You're like, Jesus.
Yeah, especially
what the
this
hell?
this guy jumps at these films. I swear to God,
No,
it's an experience watching films like this with him. But yeah, where did I get up to? So yeah, he's been marked, and then they find through looking at a lot of news reports about a girl who lost her family pretty much to this, and it's the girl from the second film, the one that survived, the teenage daughter. And
yeah, they kind of go and talk to her, and she points them in the direction of the kind of childhood home out of Paranormal Activity 3.
yeah, that's
and
something.
actually go back to that location.
Yeah, that's one thing we'll kind of get to right at the end of the film. They mention his house where shit goes down, basically. And one of the characters, the one that's jumped off the roof and killed himself, had a brother who's like pretty much a gangster.
Yeah,
basically, like
well,
drug
they
dealing.
pretty much say he's like a drug dealing gangbanger type with like tattoos and all these kind of dodgy contacts.
Exactly. So they go to this house at the end of the film anyway, and it's the house from the end of Paranormal Activity 3. And it's apparent because there's like that walkway that you saw near the end of the film. That was kind of what I recognised it as.
They have these like, they're almost like horse stalls where you keep like a horse.
Yeah.
Except they're kind of locked and they've
Yeah.
got like people in them and stuff.
But they go there with this gangbanger guy, and they've
he's
got
like,
like guns, and he's like, "Well, he says we're going to smoke some bitches." It's really
Yeah.
good, and that
Basically,
happens as
you do
well.
actually find out witch versus shotgun. Shotgun wins, but there's more witches.
Yeah, that was very satisfying to see because I was
There's at
sick.
least a couple of points where somebody goes, "Rah!" kind of leaping out at him, and he's just.
Yeah, and it was good to see that because in the other films you kind of get fed up with it. Oh yeah, it's just a bunch of witches, and they just rape the shit out of all the like main characters. You
Main
you want to
characters in
see a
this
bit
do
of
kind of fight back a little bit,
yeah,
which is nice.
yeah, it was good to see
Also,
that.
you have the rationale of like, basically you see it in the trailer where somebody punches through the window and drags the guy out of the car. And basically, you think it's going to be like the stupid thing where like the girl's just like filming him and doing bugger all, but in fact she's put the camera down and you haven't realised this. And the next thing you see, she's running around the back of him, hitting him over the head with like a baseball.
So there's a lot of fighting back, and it's which is good to see. But yeah, they go to this house which is from the third one, and a lot of stuff kind of goes down there. And the chase kind of at the end, it was a bit like the end of the third film. It went on a bit longer. And one thing I would say is, if you remember the end of the third film, there's a bit where they walk. He goes along the walkway with the camera, and he opens a door, and that's where there's a lot of witches. And he kind of started doing that again. He's walking up to the same door and opens it, and you think they're not going to see a lot of faces in there again. We've seen that in the third one, but the camera like fails, then it turns on, and as it turns on, there's a face, but it's like some kind
It's
of
like a mannequin head.
yeah. So it's kind of like. I like that because it was essentially
A
the
lot
same
of the
thing
time,
but with a twist.
This film is kind of predictable, but it also plays on the predictability.
It's cleverly
Like
done.
you'll expect them like panning the camera round and round, and you'll expect somebody to be here, and maybe 3 out of 5 times there will be, but there's at least 2 times when there won't be, just to like throw you so you don't automatically expect it.
Exactly.
Or if you do, you're sometimes kind of caught off when it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So when it does happen, you're a bit more like, oh, damn it, they got me that time.
Yeah, so other than that, that's kind of what happens like leading up to the end. But then he's getting chased, and it just kind of goes on. It's like a sort of generic, like, oh, there's a thing in the house chasing me. Run behind a door, and then the thing breaks through the door, and he finds another door, and then hides behind that, and then the thing breaks through that door, and it kind of goes on a bit.
Yeah, until eventually he gets to this really weird-looking door,
Yeah.
which matches the picture you saw earlier. And he runs through that, and the camera goes all screwy for a while.
And then all of a sudden you realise they're in a house that doesn't look the same. It looks like a very different house. It kind of looks familiar as well.
By the time they reach the living room, you're like, this is a house from Paranormal Activity.
The first house in the first film. How has
And
he
it
got
just-
there? It's not at all. It's not
Yeah.
the same place.
And it's also back in time because...
And who do we see walking down the stairs at this
yeah,
point
we see
slowly?
what the
Is
hell's
it
her name?
Katie? I think she was called
Yeah,
from the
Katie.
first film, walking slowly down the stairs, and she kind of ignores him, and she goes into the kitchen, and he kind of puts his hand on her shoulder. He's like, "Excuse me," and it's really kind of funny because you
And
wouldn't.
she kind of looks around and you expect her to be all like demonised and just like basically kill him. But she doesn't, she just suddenly starts screaming,
Micah! And
And he
Micah comes running down the
down.
stairs, and you're thinking, he's gone through a time portal, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's
And
basically there at
basically,
the end
it's
of
kind
the
of funny
first
because
film.
Micah kind of jumps in, so he's like, she's screaming, there's this weird guy in the house with the camera, so he jumps in, and then you see her like stabbing Micah.
So he's basically teleported to the end bit of Paranormal Activity 1, which was
Yeah.
set in, what was it, 96? No, 96, 2006, that's when it was set, I think.
I can't remember.
And then then somebody attacks him, doesn't it? It was
I'm
actually a
pretty
generic
sure that's
demon
it.
of some
I
kind.
thought that was his friend actually who'd fallen through the
Could have been,
portal.
yeah, probably.
He was
yeah.
like demon face, he couldn't really like see clearly, it was like a brief
And then
you
the
know,
camera
it's,
the camera just kind of falls, a bit like the other films,
and
and
you
then
see one of the witches kind of reach down and
it
kind
was
of...
Katie.
Oh, was it Katie?
Yeah.
I thought it was one of the
Yeah,
witches.
Katie's face just kind of does this kind of angle, looks over and then presses a button, and then the film ends, the credits roll. But
Yeah, you also have... at one point when they're going through like the supposed witch's apartment, they have like the box of videotapes
Yeah,
with
that was in
like
the trailer,
Katie
wasn't
and whatever her name
Yeah, I
is.
can't remember.
Like 1980 something, like
Yeah.
basically the third film.
So this is Paranormal Activity 5. It's a direct follow-on. I mean, it doesn't start out that way, but it ends that way. Would you recommend this film?
Yeah, I'd recommend it. If I was watching all the films, I'd cut 4 out just because it doesn't advance the plot and it's really bad, but this one I'd definitely put in. It's not as scary, but it is tense, it is exciting, lots of stuff happens. I think you'd find it less boring than some of the other films, if you did find the other films boring.
Yeah, but I think once you've seen it a few times as well, or even seen it once, it kind of drags the beginning bits, always kind of drag. But I would recommend this film as well, definitely, and see it in the cinema, because all talking aside from the other chat, it's funny to have like other
Yeah.
people's reactions. If I go see it with this guy, if this guy will go see it again, his reactions are brilliant when he does. But I think not really much else.
Not really, no, it was pretty good. Joe, where you gone? Where the hell's he gone?
Ah!
Ooh.